All right, guys, so let's talk. So I think this is going to be a pretty exciting update for Brown Dust 2. I wanted to make this video because I want to highlight what seems to be their plans and some very important quality of life, and I think some of the biggest changes that's going to really push and help this game a lot. And I want to just talk about all that stuff. Next week is going to be big. It's the Brown Dust 2 update, and for those of you that also know my channel, you know I play Wuthering Waves. Huge update for both of those on the same day. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it, right? But we're going to talk Brown Dust 2, right? So I'm going to go over first the story, and then I'm going to go over, well, story and characters. I'm going to go over quality of life changes and how this is going to move things forward with Brown Dust 2. So in the background here, you're probably getting the story trailer. I checked out the Ian trailer, the JP trailer, and the Korean trailer. Also, I think the CN trailer too. Great reception. I think everybody loves the trailer. Again, there's this back and forth between, oh my god, are we going to get this and that for these male characters? Guys, there's not going to be any male characters, no dudes. So it is what it is. Like, at this point, it's been just about a year. Enough complaining. If it really bothers you, I don't know what to tell you, right? But here we are. Everybody's enjoying the story trailer, and it seems like they have a plan for the first, like, 6 months or the first half of the year of 2025, which I think is a pretty interesting idea that they've got here. They've got 4 chapters that they've been working on for a year, guys. They have 15, which is coming out, 16, 17, 18, 19, or excuse me, 18. So what's going to happen here is from February all the way till the end of May will be filled with all 4 of these chapters. And in each chapter, it's going to be somebody that we focus on. So in 15, we get Blade. In 16, and I'll just say, for example, we get Liberta, right? So if you remember in the patch notes, they kind of highlighted a sneak peek of the characters that will be focused on, right? Now, we don't know if these story packs will be prequels or if it will continue off from the main story. We don't know because this one here takes place before Chapter 9, right? They kind of talk about that, and after Chapter 8. So we don't know how it's going to go, but the first half of 2025 is essentially just going to be story packs, and those season events that we get are also going to do backgrounds of the characters, right? And then what's going to happen after that is we get right back into Annie. That's when the swimsuits come back, and that's when the parallel world stuff starts up again, right? And that's going to happen for pretty much all the way up until 2025 through 2026. And the reason I say that is because they said it takes them around a year to, like, kind of complete these story pack seasons, which, hey, completely fine with me because a lot of people get excited for the parallel world stories, and honestly, the parallel world costumes are the most popular ones. And what I mean by that is like bunny suit, bikini. We're going to get wedding theme, right? So there's a lot of stuff to look forward to after the first half of 2025. So let me know what you guys think of that. Do you think the story is coming out too slow? I think with everything that they talk about and their scheduling, it sounds like they want to do the best they can. And the only way for them to do the best they can is if they focus on doing the story for a year, coming up with the characters, and coming up with the season events for each story pack to go along with it to make a quality presentation for the fans of Brown Dust 2. So I think it's pretty cool, right? So again, all the way up until June, we will have these story packs, and then Annie, and it's back to swimsuits and parallel world stuff. Now, let's continue. So the next thing I want to talk about here, guys, is probably one of the most requested things in the game, and that is I don't know how to exactly explain it. Maybe you call it like cutscene edits, right? But this is probably the most requested thing. That, and the fact that we're now getting, instead of 10 home screens, we're getting 20. Okay. Now, again, 20 is huge, so that's I actually want to make a video to see everybody's like top 20 cutscenes. I want to see like their favorite 20. I actually think that'll be pretty cool to see that. But anyway, like I said, we're going to get a fixed cutscene update. And what it's going to allow us to do is we're going to take certain parts of the cutscene, and we'll be able to have that fixed part saved on the home screen, right? And they give examples. I can't show you the image here because I will get age restricted. But let's just say when Luvencia is on her bike, right? You know the cutscene where it kind of she's staring at the camera and then she looks back and shoots. Let's say in the fixed part of the cutscene, you just want her kind of looking back and shooting. You can save that part as the part that plays or that basically loops, right? So huge update. I know a lot of you are Morpia fans, and when she's in that bunny suit, when she's fucking bent over, I know a lot of you are about to save that part as the fixed part for it to loop over and over again. So I know a lot of people are going to do that, but that is going to be coming. However, they're not going to have it for all the costumes yet, but they said for the selected costumes, which just to name a few: Dalvey Summer Vacation, Therese Beachside, Michaela Beachside, Nebris, Labyrinth, Luvencia Deal Snatcher, Michaela, and Morpia. A few others, right? You can see on the patch notes. Check out my previous video. I go over the patch notes. But all future characters will have this change as well with their cutscenes, right? So, huge update in quality of life from the home screen and cutscene aspect, right? Because that is like the biggest thing about Brown Dust 2. Without a doubt, it's their skill cutscenes. It's the most important thing in this game, without a doubt. Now, I want to also talk about the Fated Guest, the Gluppy Diner, the interactions. So it seems like Therese is going to be our next unit, right? It sounds like it's going to be kind of sort of maybe Valentine's related. They said it's going to be like very cutesy because of the story, right? And they give us like a little sneak peek image and we'll kind of have to see from there. But they did tell us, and I think this is interesting to note, originally it was 4 to 6 weeks that they said that, oh, this is when we'll have a new Fated Guest for the Gluppy Diner for you to interact with. Instead of 4 to 6 weeks, it's 4 to 8 weeks. So a max of just about 2 months for them to make one. However, they did show a sneak peek at a second one they were working on. It was essentially just a picture of a girl kind of tied up. And let me know who you guys think this may be, because they just showed a picture of her feet. But, you know, I'm kind of thinking, like, who's into BDSM, like, in Brown Dust 2? Like, what character has that kink where they, you know, would like something like that? I was thinking maybe it's Elpis. Someone said it's Elise. I don't know if it's Elise or Elise, but in her what's that outfit? In her code name outfit, she's kind of like tied up, but I don't know. We'll have to see, right? But it's going to be at most 2 months. So that means out of 12 months, we're going to get 6 interactives within a year. So I don't know how people feel about that. Again, I think the quality and effort that they put in to have a story and then that story results in the interactive is pretty nice, to be honest with you guys, right? So I think that's huge. Also, too, it blows my mind, and I want a lot of people to like pay attention to this. They're giving us this for free, and I know I've talked about this a few times, but a lot of people kind of get perplexed as to why they would do this. And, you know, based off of everything that I've seen with them and all the interviews that they've done, they're really just trying to cultivate a very loyal and essentially just like a very loyal fan base that no matter what, you know, whatever gacha game you may play in the future upcoming for 2025, you'll stick with them because of its unique charm, right? That's how they expressed it. Like, they want Brown Dust 2 to have this unique charm for people to stick around for it. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff we get at Brown Dust 2, it blows my mind how free it is. And that's what makes it great, honestly. And we get all this quality on top of it, right? Because 2025 is going to be a huge battleground for gacha games. I can't tell you how many games are coming out. And it's just like, man, it's good to see Brown Dust 2 with all the success and the direction that they took. Because I'm telling you guys, if Brown Dust 2 stayed the same, it would have been out of here, bro. Like, oh my God, it would have been out of here. But here we are, and it's thriving, right? Now, a couple other things that they do mention, which me personally, I think is going to be pretty important. They talked about gear presets. They talked about improving gear dismantling. And just some overall gear improvements. To me, this is might actually be pretty important. If they can facilitate things being easier for dismantling gear, making gear presets easier, or even like the whole gear process, making that easier, I think that would be huge for Brown Dust 2, right? Because you're constantly, the goal for Brown Dust 2 is just constantly building up each of your characters and putting on the just about perfect gear for them, right? So there's always, just like in a lot of games, gear is a part of the end game, and if they can make gear less tedious and solve that issue, and this will be later in March, right? Because they said they can't put all the improvements for February in there yet, so they listed out what you can look forward to in March, and I'll just read some of them. So rewatch seasonal event, play mini game anytime, simplification of gear dismantling process, skill cutscene setting for each costume, addition of vertical orientation for PC client, improvement of gear preset, and addition of guild rankings. We will provide more detail at the time of the next update. So out of all those, anything with gear I think is going to be pretty important. Permanent mini games, fantastic. I think that's great. Their mini games have been a 10 out of 10 so far, to be honest with you guys, so I think that's already going to be a win for them. But yeah, gear, I'm curious to see what they'll do with that, because that's something that I think needs to be improved on. I know they also talked about like maybe some future Tower of Salvation improvements. I think the big thing with Tower of Salvation is trying to cut back on how long it takes, right? And that kind of brings me into another thing. And this is, again, this wasn't in the dev notes, but this was in the survey, right? And essentially, it's like the future of the combat of Brown Dust 2. I'm really curious, and for those of you that made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. Everything past the first 6 months, I want to know, what do you think they should do, right? Do you guys think there is enough content in Brown Dust 2 currently? Right, because if you noticed in the last survey, they talked about things that they're thinking about improving, right? They're trying to get player feedback. So as we go in these first 6 months into the season 3 of the story, and then after that, we'll get into the Annie, and then we're back to like the parallel world themes of like wedding and bikini and all that stuff. As they're doing that, do you think that there's anything new that they can add? Do you want to see a new type of combat? Do you want to see a bigger grid style? Or do you think the content is good as is? I'd be really curious to hear what you guys think of that. Because I'll give you my answer. I think the content itself is solid. I really don't think, maybe adding a new tower, sure. I think that could be done, because once you're done with tower, you're just done with tower. Maybe you could do that, but if they were to add like a new combat style or something like that, I'd love to see it just kind of like iterated in like the Fiend Hunt maybe, right? Or like one of the challenge events, right? You know how there's normal battle and then challenge battle? Maybe they could implement it in that instead of making a new mode, because I'm afraid that new mode might be like Tower of Salvation, where it takes like 40 minutes to beat, or 30 minutes, or it used to be 40 minutes, now it's like 20 to 30, right? That's my only thing. So I'd be open to some new content, but in general, I think Brown Dust 2 is solid with the content that they got. But maybe switching it up to make things fresh could be nice. But yeah, other than that, guys, future's looking good. I cannot wait for this update. Thank you for listening, and I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys later.